Hey all, Chop Egg here, and welcome to the first part of this massive multi-part project, a full-on retrospective of Call of Duty Zombies. This is a project I thought about doing for a while now, so I finally decided to sit down and do it, as I am a massive fan of this series' silly little game mode. This game mode has consistently been a massive part of my life since I was young, so I thought, why not just do it? Why not make something really cool about it? Why not make a full retrospective on the series? In this project, I aim to cover each iteration of the game mode and take a deep dive into each game's iteration, whether that's from the evolutions of an ongoing narrative headed by the studio that kicked it all off, or new takes from entirely different developer teams. In addition to talking about each map across these games, I will be tagging along a number scorer in the top right, and then scaling will look something like this. This scaling is to help gauge where I feel each map stands today. With this first part of the retrospective series, I thought to do a double feature on the first two games to feature this mode, in its smaller and simpler beginnings. So without further ado, let's get right into the first section of this video, a quick prologue. For those who might be unfamiliar, Call of Duty Zombies is a wave-based horde mode where you, the player, find yourself fighting to survive using weapons and abilities available to you. The only goal is to reach the highest possible wave or round as they're known. Its first appearance was in Call of Duty World at War, which was released in 2008 and was developed by Treyarch. It started out as a fun little game mode made by a couple devs in secret, and the rest of the team at the studio, Treyarch, found it so fun and gave it a green light to just add it as a secret mode to the final build of the game.
You can imagine my surprise again when I found out a little bit later that this team that had been noodling around started prototyping a Nazi zombies mode, completely at a grassroots level, and then finding out that, people from other departments hearing about it started pitching in. So let's review. We got a tough development. The team is working with new technology. We're behind schedule. The team is crunched. Late stage innovation, unapproved, unplanned, unscheduled, definitely ungreenlit work. Business expectations were for the best-selling game of the season, in an established franchise, and zombies at this point, they're clearly off-brand. I remember the first time I heard about it, I was like, we're what? Now, as a studio head who's ultimately responsible for delivering to our publishing and our business partners the classic management thing, the right thing to do, the reasonable thing could have been to just insist that the team stop getting distracted, focus on delivering what we'd already signed up and that we were already behind on delivering. Fortunately, I calmed down just enough. Still work on that every day of my life. So I asked to play an early version of it, which I had to do. I had to do this at a programmer's desk because, of course, it wasn't in my build. So I go to the programmer's desk and I sit down and I play it. And it didn't take me long to see why everyone was so excited about it. It was really easy to get into. It beautifully leveraged the core gameplay and shooter mechanics. And the skill-based design, it begged you to play it again, yet again, because after you were done playing, you were sure if you played it again, you can get to that next level, which of course I was sure I could after playing it. And it was the most fun I had playing co-op in the game that we were already making. And the zombies, well, they were fucking cool. I mean, they looked cool, they sounded cool, and it was really gratifying when you killed them. And we thought, well, why wouldn't Call of Duty players love to play this? This is so fun. Of course they're gonna love to play this. So when people are on your team playing something in the middle of the night after a 12 to 14 hour day during a crunch phase, against every project management fiber I had in my body, I let it go. I wanted to help them. I wanted this to be on the disc. I wanted our players to have this. It was clear the excitement around the studio was totally infectious. And I was infected too at that point.
After beating the campaign and having the credits roll, you were plopped into a secret mode to survive as long as possible. After either dying or quitting, you would then have access to it from the campaign menu from that point forward. Later on, after adding a secondary map, nobody needed to beat the campaign to access the first map. It was added into the campaign mission selection screen for anyone to play. Fans of the COD series loved it and wanted more. From there, it was given new maps throughout World at War's DLC season. After World at War concluded its run, it officially became the third game mode featured alongside the campaign and multiplayer in Treyarch's Call of Duty games. It was a surprise hit that only grew in its popularity from there. And now, let's talk about the actual game mode.
Okay, Call of Duty World at War Zombie Mode. Now that's the bomb, man.
After the credits to the World at War campaign finish rolling, you're greeted with an eerie cutscene, vision blurred, a crashed plane in front of you, creepy music, and a bunch of hobbling figures in the distance. Eventually one gets closer and closer, bolting towards you before you cut to black, then fading in the title of the game mode. From there, you're thrown into a small bunker with nothing but a pistol and a few grenades, forced to survive against the horde as best you can. This is the first ever version of the COD Zombies mode, and it's super bare bones and simple. The story for this map goes as follows. You're a soldier that survived a plane crash over Poland and find yourself in a nearby bunker at an abandoned airfield. You hold out and survive against the undead for as long as possible once there. Your character has no lines or dialogue and is completely silent. The map is small, has a simple design, 3 rooms in total, 2 small rooms on the ground floor known as the starting room and the help room, and 1 slightly larger room up top, which is simply called upstairs. There's no way to exit the bunker itself, so you're trapped in here with the zombies. The zombies' only way of access into the building is through the windows that line the walls. These windows are protected by 6 wooden barricades. Zombies tear these wood boards down one at a time and force their way into the bunker with you. Around the map there are a total of 12 barricaded windows. They are spaced out just enough so you're not overwhelmed by the incoming zombies. There are also a cap of 24 zombies allowed to spawn at the map at any time. The basic way to progress is through earning points. You gain points from damaging and killing zombies. These points allow you to open up doors around the map as well as purchase weapons that are on the wall. To relate back to the barricades for each individual plank you repair, you can earn 10 points. You can also earn 10 points for each hit you land on a zombie, and anywhere between 60 to 100 points for killing a zombie, depending on which part of the body you land a fatal blow. Any kill with a knife, though, rewards the player with 130 points. That does elicit a bit of risk, though, since with the increasing round counter, the health of the zombies will also increase. Get too close to a zombie and they can hit you. You can survive up to 2 hits from a zombie before you go down and the game is ended. Your starting pistol will become less effective very quickly with each progressing round. To improve your arsenal, there are an assortment of chalk drawings on the wall. These chalk drawings are shaped like guns, and you can purchase any of the available weapons that are on the wall. The crown jewel of this all, though, is the mystery box. It's a strange box that sits on the ground with a glowing question marks on top. For 950 points, you're able to basically spin what is a roulette wheel of every gun available in the game. It's a really fun way to either land a really fun weapon for a fair price, or get something just not good at all. There's something really special you're able to get from the box, though, and that is a weapon called the Ray Gun, a semi-auto firing handgun that shoots out green blasts of energy, one-shot killing zombies up to round 22. This is what's known as a wonder weapon. It is the first of its kind. It is one of, if not the most, commonly known wonder weapon and a staple to the COD Zombies game mode. It's featured on every single COD Zombies map set inside this narrative. It's an extremely fun and simple weapon with a high ammo reserve and a splash of damage attack that kills multiple zombies at a time. It is a one-shot kill up to round 22. It can also deal damage back to you with its splash damage, so don't shoot at it when a zombie is too close. Also, a one-shot kills you in this game, so that's funny. It insta-kills you. It insta-kills you. Oh my god. I didn't think it was gonna insta-kill me.
Get mechanicked.
Additionally, getting points from killing zombies, they sometimes will drop a green floating pickup called a power-up. These power-ups can give a small little advantage to the player. There are 4 available power-ups that a zombie can drop. Max ammo, which refills your ammo reserve to full. Insta-kill, which gives you the ability to kill any zombie in a single hit at any round for 30 seconds. Double points, which for 30 seconds doubles the points you earn from killing a zombie. And then a nuke, which kills every zombie spawned on the map, effectively working as, well, a nuke. These little power-ups are really nice and help really bring the arcade-like nature of this mode full circle. I know this was a lot of information being thrown out, but this mode had a lot of small things that built the simple and fun gameplay loop the mode is praised for. These all seem small individually, but in retrospect they're essentially giving this mode a large chunk of its core fun. The map, which this is all started on though, does not fare the test of time, but it's really hard to fault it. This is the first map, which is very much just a proof of concept and just feels more like a demo than a real game mode. Noct is a very basic map, repurposing an area from the campaign and making an eerie little defend the tower type map. That's all it needs to be though, especially it being the first try at something like this. They nailed the core gameplay in a basic play space. This map can be fun if you aim to go to high rounds by camping in a corner, but aside from that, there really isn't any reason to be coming back to this map as it doesn't really have much else to offer. Once again, I can't really dislike or fault this map, but I can't really helm this map as something great. It stands as a decently fun map to return to and an incredibly well put together proof of concept. What came after Nocturne Toten was the second map, Verrupt, a creepy, overrun, and dilapidated asylum. The story here is also simple. You're a nameless, voiceless soldier who is trying to survive in an overrun asylum. This time, before loading into the map itself though, you're given an overview drawn map pointing out the different points of interest. It points out the spawn area, different rooms, a place called Power, and shows off drink machines labeled as Juggernog, Speed Cola, Revive Soda, and Double Tap. These are a new addition to the game, referred to as Perk-a-Colas, or perks. These perk machines provide and add a benefit to the player that helps with fighting and surviving against the zombies. The room you spawn in is actually split into two halves, separated by a door that you cannot purchase. Instead, it says to turn on power first, whatever that is. While this can switch up early game as you can spawn on either side and have to take a new path unfamiliar to you, these paths are linear and lead to the same area after 2 to 3 doors, which is perfectly fine. You'll be able to understand where you're going pretty quickly with this kind of structure. This is primarily talking about solo play though. In 4-player co-op, which the game has, I forgot to mention that, your team is split in half. So if you play with a friend, that friend will spawn on the other side of the door, which allows for plenty of fun early game to see who can make it to the meeting point first. To reach that point, you must traverse a bunch of tight, close-quarter corridors. See, this map itself is bigger than Noct, about double the size in fact, but it feels more constricted and claustrophobic. While Noct had 3 to 4 open rooms, Verrupt has mostly tight hallways and really tight doorways, with room for only one person to fit through. As you progress through the map, you may notice the creepy and unsettling surroundings. There are creepy drawings that line the wall, turned over wheelchairs, barricaded windows, and puddles of blood. Coupled with this are faint screams and voices you can hear occasionally. All this help creates a really creepy and unsettling vibe. Along with the creepy surroundings, you would notice these strange machines. You would also see the posters advertising these machines around the map. Think back to the map's overview title screen and you'll remember that these machines were shown to the match before. Once again, these are the Perk-a-Cola machines. But you're unable to actually access these machines at the time, with it prompting you to turn on power again. At this point, you get the idea that this power thing might be important. So the place in which this map leads you to is a room with the mystery box and a power switch. The power switch is another new mechanic which powers up the entire map, which includes those perk machines you spotted earlier. These perk machines are now available for purchase, distributing a soda bottle to drink, basically giving you an ability. You're allowed to hold 4 different perks at once, all costing different prices, providing different effects. Revive Soda, for starters, costs 1500 points, and it gives you the ability to revive your teammate twice as fast. This is a great perk in co-op play, but useless in solo, unfortunately. Another perk is Double Tap, costing around 2000 points, increasing the rate in which you fire your bullets, effectively doubling your bullet damage. This comes with a drawback though, since it uses twice as many bullets in your magazine, meaning you'll run out of ammo twice as fast than you usually would. Speed Cola, costing at 3000 points, is simple in that it increases the speed in which you reload your gun. That's it. It's a really nice, effective, quality of life perk, and honestly, it makes LMGs, which are the heavy guns, much more useful to play with. And then there is what is helmed as the most essential perk in the whole game, Juggernog Soda. Costing at 2500 points, it increases the player's health from 100 to 200, meaning instead of going down in 2 hits, it would rather take 4 to 5 hits. All these perks are unique in both the machine design and the abilities they provide. These perks would become a staple of the COD Zombies game mode. Along with turning on power, allows for you to now use another new feature introduced on this map, traps. There is only one type of trap on this map, known as the electric trap. These traps will kill any zombie that walks through it while beaming down bolts of electricity. Additionally, the box now has a couple of new weapons and items in it, such as the PPSH gun and a teddy bear. When you get that teddy bear though, a child laughs at you and leaves you for dead. The box now moves to 4 possible locations around the map. Each possible spawn point is marked by a bunch of dirt and rubble with a teddy bear sitting in it. A couple of smaller things that this map adds are more sounds to the zombies, making them sound even more creepy than they were before, and grotesque, as they all groan, yell, and scream at you, giving them the iconic sounds that you may have heard before. The power-ups are also now voiced over, with a voice telling you the name of each power-up, as well as an icon for the power-ups that last 30 seconds.
Insta-kill! Double points! Kaboom!
And finally, the first ever Easter egg in COD Zombies being something as simple as flushing this specific toilet 3 times, and then a heavy rock song plays. It's small but really sets an interesting and unique musical tone for this version of Zombies. All these new additions add a whole new layer of fun to the game mode, but the map does not let you feel any more powerful than you did on Noct. Despite the fact that you have the perks now, they are basically essential to your survival compared to the preceding map, Noct. Zombies have a couple of changes on this map. Specifically, the zombies on this map are far more aggressive than the ones seen in Nocturne and Toten. The zombies can bolt at you at much higher speed and can outrun you if you have anything besides a light weapon out. Zombies on this map specifically also have the ability to double swipe on the player, dealing 2 hits of damage rather than 1. This results in a much more difficult map unless you camp. While Verrückt is a better map than Noct, it's not by much. Its strongest attribute is that it's hard, and if you like a difficult game mode like this, you're gonna really like this map. But the tight hallways and rapid zombie spawn can make some game ends frustrating, as it just feels it brings out of a what was I supposed to do kind of moment. The incredibly fast sprinters can be fun, but if you want to move anywhere outside this specific spot, you're not likely to survive. Which is a shame, because a close quarters style map is not a bad idea. It's worked in later iterations. I just really wish there were a couple more opportunities provided by the map to juke out a zombie and make a quick escape. Something that, if I messed up, would feel more on myself, the player, and less on the game. But hey, there are strategies to help you let you survive really far on this map. Just not always the most fun style of play to be sitting in one spot and rely almost entirely on traps to get to high rounds. Those early 15 to 20 rounds, though, can be really intense and fun. Overall, a genuine progression of the modes, core mechanics, and a genuine challenge to those who really want to just go for it. It truly feels like where the mode really felt like it was starting to come together as a game mode rather than a demo. Its age shows, but much less so than Noct, only being held back by some corners and doorways being just too tight. Shinonuma, the third map in World at War's zombie map selection. This map is the first of the World at War maps I would actually consider to be good. It takes everything that the mode has set up and slightly evolves it or spins it on its head. I feel like the dev team was really starting to get comfortable with this silly game mode and try more with it. First and foremost, the newest introduction to this map. This map is the first to actually have a main cast of characters shown on the loading screen. Tank Dempsey, a hard-headed, brash, and outlandish American soldier. Nikolai Belinsky, a crazy, drunk, rambling Russian soldier, feared by Stalin himself. Takeo Masaki, an honored and disciplined Japanese soldier searching to reach enlightenment, and Dr. Edward Richtofen, a mad German scientist obsessed with utilizing unknown powers and forces to progress his own goals. These are all absurdly exaggerated characters of the armed forces from World War II, and plop them into the zombies-infested world. These characters are the first Zombies crew, and an incredibly entertaining one at that.
Beautiful, baby! What are you, fucking Rasputin? Stay dead this time! My thanks. Back to the mission!
His head is gone! How beautiful!
They would go on to be fan favorites and even be the characters driving the whole Zombies narrative for multiple games. Here though, they're just a bunch of soldiers sent to an abandoned Japanese facility to retrieve information only to find it overrun with zombies. Now let's talk about this map's design, which is arguably the most important factor about a map. This map is substantially larger than its two predecessors, with a much expanded play space. It takes place at an old abandoned facility deep in the Japanese swamplands. It's got this really rickety vibe to it and these dense jungles surrounding it. Switching up from being contained entirely in a building, there is now a central building in which you spawn in, which has 2 floors and serves as a central hub. There are 4 areas in which the player can go from here: the doctor's quarters, storage, communication room, and the fishing hut. These 4 areas are all easy to find as they all exist in 4 quarters of this map's design. Each area has its own small play space and buildings that include one of the 4 perks and a mystery box spawn. The main hub also features 2 mystery box spawns. The area between the hut and the main hub all look different and play different from one another, some being a straight shot to the hut, while the others are winding around the swampy waters. The waist-high water is also a new feature to zombies, slowing down the player any time they step into it to a walking speed. This proves to be a deadly wave of moving, as the zombies themselves do not slow down in these waters. This would be incredibly annoying and unfair if it weren't for the boardwalks the players can use to avoid this water. There are also small masses of land sticking out of the water that are placed just far enough away from each other to allow the player to strategically move from one to another, but not too close where it renders the implementation of the water useless. While many might find this feature annoying, I think the workarounds really allow the player to still be able to keep the zombies just out of reach as long as they play their moves right, in the same way Verrückt plays to the quick thinking of a player for them to survive. One wrong move on either map and it can end your game. The way the perks function on this map is different from Verrückt, where on Verrückt they are stationed in the same place the player can memorize and easily locate. On replays, Shi no Numa does the opposite. With each building you enter, the perk is randomized right in front of you before then sticking it in the same place for the rest of the match. This can prove annoying though, as there are some perks you might really want, but just not get until the last attempt. But I personally feel like this is a fun way to throw a player for a loop. It's also nothing too annoying, as there are only 4 perks in this game, and the doors to get each perk aren't crazy expensive or far away. Revive Soda's name also changed to Quick Revive. This map also does not include power on it, aside from turning on a zip line to transport players from the doctor's quarters to the central building. This is the first ever transportation method in this mode. Along with returning features, the electric traps return, being located in front of every perk building. A new trap is also featured here, called the Flogger, a giant rotating fence with spiked tree logs on either end, spinning incredibly fast and killing any zombie caught in its way. This trap is so rad. It gets a lot of style points because it's just really cool and unique in my opinion. This map also adds a box light that the player can see from basically anywhere on the map, indicating the location of the box when it moves. Another great new addition to the map is the new Wonder Weapon, the Wunderwaffe DG2. This weapon absolutely shreds. It is a single shot electric weapon that chains an electric bolt from one zombie to another, being a one-shot kill on any round. It can only chain up to 10 zombies at a time though. This weapon is made even more effective though, as on this map, a maximum of 24 zombies can spawn per round, meaning it would take about 3 shots from the Wunderwaffe to finish a round. Each mag has 3 shots with a total of 15 in reserve. The design of this thing is also incredible, with its perfect metal and light bulb like ammunition. It looks like some crazy invention built using materials found in our world, imbued with a power not natural to this one, which seems to be the case with the zombies, as this map has a neat little environmental storytelling with a meteorite crash just outside the map, implying that it's the source of the zombies since it's electrocuting the water and a lot of zombies are spawning from that location. There are also radios around the map that detail what went down here and the general story, also commenting on something known as Element 115.
Dash 4808N 37 14 06 115 4840.
I hope you're receiving this transmission, Peter. If you are not, then all is already lost. You must know by now that we failed to contain the asylum. Now we had to move the experiment here. Location. The numbers will guide you. The giant must remain at all costs. Repeat, Derice must remain safe at all costs. The DG2 experiments continue. Might be our only advantage now. Find Dr. Maxis. Only they may know what's going on. The use of 115 is dangerous at best. I'm not sure how long we here. Most of our best people. I hope you get this. I hope it hasn't happened there too. But I'm almost out of hope.
6054 06.96 101 55 44.94.
It's really cool and starts to really make you begin to start getting some answers and questions the player might have had. It also offers up the ability to create theories about these things, which was a huge thing back in the day when these games were coming out. The last new feature this map has to offer is the first ever new zombie type, the Hellhounds. The Hellhounds are a pest-like enemy, being faster and more nimble than normal zombies, but having lower HP than the zombies. They also come in at their own round without any additional zombies every 5 to 6 rounds. This round has players switch up the way they're playing really fast, as they will spawn in fairly quickly after the map gets foggy and a sound cue plays.
Fetch me their soul!
After surviving this round though, players will be rewarded with a free max ammo. This addition is wonderful, as it's fair and rewarding, as well as makes a player panic briefly and quickly change up their playstyle to deal with the enemy differently than they would a normal zombie. Overall, a pretty good map, giving the player a lot more to work with than the previous maps did, while also switching up the way certain mechanics introduced up to this point. Only being held back by some potentially annoying features such as the water and randomized perks, but likewise could bring more fun depending on the type of player you are. This map's simple 4 corners with a hub design really put this one over the previous two, as it's not trapped to a single building and allows for more open and dynamic ways to play. Finally, we come to the final map in World at War, Der Riese. Der Riese is set in an overrun German research facility, set with a really eerie and cold vibe, making you feel like you're at the heart of this whole narrative so far. Der Riese takes everything World at War has set up thus far and mashes it all into one. All the wonder weapons, perks, and characters return for this final map entry, with a few new additions that end this game mode's first run on a high note. Let's start with the map's design. The starting area is a fairly open, giving the player plenty of room to move around from the zombies. A giant teleporter stands right in the center stage. This starting area also has a great lighting on the barricades, clearly displaying where the zombies will be emerging from. In the middle is a giant platform as well, which the player can get onto and get an overhead view of the entire starting area. This single area gives the player so much to work with and survive in, as they have many vantage points and places to run to if they feel overrun. On each side of the starting area, there are also 2 doors. Both of these doors lead to another building and its entrance. These buildings are fairly close quarters with some open areas in them. Just outside the buildings though are paths that are blocked off by unbuyable doors. The doors need to have power turned on to be removed. But whichever way you decide to go, right or left from the spawn area, these buildings will lead you to another center area, which is where power and the box will be located. This is such a simple and fairly short setup to get all the perks turned on, and the map's casual guidance to the power through both the way the map leads you forward in its almost linear design, similar to that of Verrückt, as well as the writings on the wall that say power. Pretty great for any casual player to find a power switch and just get there. The power turning on lets the players be able to unlock what is arguably the greatest addition to COD Zombies, the Pack-a-Punch. For 5,000 points, you can upgrade your weapon in basically every way, massively increasing the weapon's damage, fire rate, and ammo reserve. This is such a simple and rewarding progression for the player to achieve. To unlock this though, you need to link 3 of these massive teleporters located around the map. Each teleporter is located in each of the respective buildings, being from the left building, right building, and the far back building. The teleportation machines are also serve as a quick escape for 1,500 points to get back to the spawn room with a teleportation pad. This map also brings in 2 new weapons. The Bowie knife, found on the wall outside of the backmost building, and can be purchased for about 3,000 points, and one knife kills any zombie up to round 11 or 12. Then a new secondary grenade found in the box, the monkey bombs. This will distract zombies for a short time before exploding and making some funny noises. One of these is way better than the other, but picking up the Bowie knife sounds and looks cool, so there's that. There's also a new power-up introduced on this map called Carpenter. This power-up repairs every barricade around the map and rewards the players with 200 points when it is finished doing so. This is a fine enough power-up that simply gives a moment's rest to the constant onslaught of zombies, especially since they infinitely scale in spawn rates and health now. The map is also arguably as difficult or more difficult than Verrückt. While nowhere near as tight and insane as Verrückt, it also does not have the 24 zombies cap that all the other maps did, meaning that zombies can now indefinitely spawn depending on whatever round you are. This is a map that truly challenges a player in not only a hard way, but a pretty fun way. Also, I should have mentioned this earlier, but the map has such a wicked and eerie art direction. There's this otherworldly feel to the map from the other ones, with the lighting refracting around the moon, the constantly clicking of a jammed clock, the cooler color palette, and the faint ash falling from the sky, just to name a few things. This map is also where the story finally unfolds, with the radio logs detailing the testings that went on here seemingly being the source of all the more fantastical elements present in this mode, all through the harvesting of Element 115, stones of unknown origin with supernatural powers. These stones were used to create wonder weapons, perks, teleporters, and Pack-a-Punch. They are also the source of the zombies, as Shinonuma had previously implied. This is a cool way of canonizing all these different game mechanics that make the world feel a lot more lived in and actually a little well realized. It's simple and small and isn't the greatest thing in the world, but it's neat nonetheless. The group in charge of this facility, Group 935, also were trying to make an undead army and failed because, of course they did. Through radios, you're also introduced to a new character, Dr. Ludwig Maxis, Richtofen's science partner. Through radios, you can learn about their discoveries and experiments, and even how they used the dog of Maxis' daughter, Samantha Maxis, as a test through the teleporters to see how that would work. These, though, ended up creating the Hellhounds through a teleporter malfunction. The radio logs also show that Richtofen slowly lost his sanity due to the exposure of Element 115. Eventually, Richtofen grows tired of Maxis' squabbles, and also his insanity would reach its peak here, and he would eventually betray him and lock him and his child daughter, Samantha Maxis, in one of the teleporters, overloading it and seemingly killing the 2 of them.
Initiating test number 6. Subject is within test chamber. Activate power. Damn it, Edward! Did you set up the device correctly?
Yes, Doctor. As per your specifications.
If you had done it to my specifications, then it would have worked, wouldn't it? As usual, you're incompetent and...
What? Do you hear that, Doctor?
Quiet, you fool! Test number 6 is a failure, but the experiment has caused some kind of electrical port energized within the chamber. Well, open the door!
Doctor, I don't think...
Open the door, now!
Daddy, what are you doing such work?
Damn it, Samantha, I told you never to come in here. Edward, get her out of here.
Yes, Doctor.
What's wrong with her? Daddy, what did you do? Rocky!
Come back here, Samantha! Stop her! Easy. Come here, Samantha. gently, Samantha. That's not Flossie anymore. We must get out of here. What? Edward, what are you doing? Open the door! Edward, open this door now!
I'm scared.
Don't do. Stay by me, Samantha. Goodbye, Dr. Maxis.
The story stuff isn't necessary to enjoy the mode, but for players that care and look around for these things, it really adds a lot. It's just neat, I personally think. Telling the player the story of Richtofen and his past, where all the zombies came from, the weapons, the perks, and all the other characters that inhabit this world, once again, really makes the world feel lived in. The worst thing this map has, though, is a glitch. If you have Jug purchased already and you shock yourself with the Wunderwaffe shot, you will lose that perk specifically. This is such an awful glitch, as you cannot repurchase Juggernog at all and are left to survive on this difficult map with only 2 hits. Outside this one issue, Der Riese is a really good map, perfectly capping off the run World at War Zombies had, taking everything the mode had introduced prior and putting it into one map with a game-changing addition, effective support grenades, and an immaculate tone and setting, while also finally making the world of COD Zombies feel a little bit more interesting and multi-layered. But we're not done just yet, because after playing, I've discovered something about this iteration of zombies that really annoys me and holds me back from really liking the gameplay found in World at War. And that is the zombie collision. Now, I get the game's older, I get that it's jankier, I get that it hasn't aged the greatest, and this was the first try at the mode, but that does not make getting caught on zombies and being screwed over so easily any less annoying, as any game after this does not face the same issue. It's just really frustrating and really takes a lot of space between the zombies and players to really actually prevent this from happening. This game really only encourages something like camping to the mid-tier zombie players like myself, and the circle training to only the most skilled of zombie players. I enjoy running around like a lunatic and constantly putting myself at risk in all other iterations, but I've never had to worry about getting caught on a zombie in those versions. This problem only exists here in World at War. While this might not be a problem for players who grew up on the mode and really enjoy this iteration, I find it incredibly annoying and unfun, and it genuinely hurts all these maps in the game, especially Der Riese, where getting caught on the zombies is the absolute worst. Despite it all though, overall this is a really strong start to the game mode, with each map bringing something new to the table, improving the mode and setting and the core standards that the game mode would have from here on out, each map feeling unique and like they learned from the mistakes of the previous one and worked to improve it in the next map. World at War is only held back by time, as its zombie player collision is annoying and punishes risky players. A fun side project from a couple devs turned into a rock-solid game mode in a single game's lifestyle though, that's pretty impressive, especially since it would become a third game mode in every Treyarch game after this. Future dev teams from either this studio or other ones would want to try their hand at it and try to evolve the game mode in any way they can. They really set up a strong, solid base for a really fun game mode. 2 years after World at War's initial release, Treyarch released Call of Duty Black Ops, the game where you were stuck in a chair and electrocuted.
What's your name?
Fuck you!
Where were you born?
Kiss my ass!
But we're here to talk about zombies and the subsequent changes and new additions to the mode. So for starters, zombies plays really well now. Basically all the gameplay problems of World at War have been solved, which is to say one big problem, which is getting caught on zombies. What soured an otherwise really solid game mode no longer exists. BO1 served to just completely fix zombies' collisions. While you can still get blocked by them, that is now a player's fault and not a fault of the janky collision. You're able to slip past zombies easy peasy like you're covered in oil. Movement in this game also just feels much more tight and less stiff. I don't know exactly what they did to change it, but the game is a hell of a lot more fun to play in general. However, Zombies are still pretty aggressive with their hits. You can actually slip past zombies this time, but brushing by them with even a hair will elicit a hit from them. There are a couple of other changes and additions to the game as well. With a new COD means a new gun selection. On average, these guns are pretty bad, but also some of the series' best ever. So monkey's paw, I suppose, but not really, because it's like 4 guns that are really good. A new perk was added to every map, Mule Kick. For 4,000 points, you can now hold up to 3 weapons rather than 2. But when downed and revived, you lose that 3rd additional weapon and slot. In fact, I think I forgot to mention this in World at War, but when you go down in a co-op game, you lose all of your perks when down by a zombie. Then you might be wondering why I'm able to get back up here without a teammate. Well, I was actually about to get to that. Quick Revive actually serves use in solo play now. Now in solo, it costs only 500 points and can pick you up after going down, but you can only purchase it 3 times before it's removed from the rest of the match. A new power-up was also added, Fire Cell. Once picked up for 30 seconds, the mystery box will spawn at every single one of the locations on the map, and cost only 10 points per hit, rather than its normal 950. This is easily one of the best power-ups in the mode, simply because of how fun and awesome it is. Like World at War, the ray gun is featured on every map in this game. Zombies now infinitely scale in both health and numbers. This makes high rounding a nightmare and honestly is a negative of the newer features. Perk machines now have their own respective jingle songs that play when you make a purchase, stand near them, or just at random.
Reach for me, Jugga Girl. Hoorah.
It adds a lot of personality to them aside from their general machine design, and they're super catchy and good. The Nuke power-up now has a new voice line.
Kaboom.
I can now actually hear the characters talk because that seems to be a PC bug for me where I couldn't hear any of the characters speak in World at War.
Dropping zombies since 1945.
Zombies has its own menu slot in the main menu as well as a unique menu for the mode. There is now a creative director heading the Zombies mode, that person being Jimmy Zielinski. He was on the original dev team that developed the mode to begin with. For this game, he's heading most of the creative projects while not having full creative control, but he had a hand leading the mode in the direction it would go in this game. From this point forward, Zombies mode would be headed by a creative director or a couple of head directors and lead the game mode into the direction that they take it. And I believe that's all the new stuff that was added into the game from the start? Yeah. With that, let's jump into the game's launch map, Kino der Toten. Kino der Toten Black Ops 1. Greatest map of all time, which is, not true. The launch map for Black Ops 1, Kino der Toten, is the first of the 3 base zombie experiences you can access from the start. This map is so great. This map's design, though, oh my lord is it good. An old abandoned World War II era Group 935 theater set in the Cold War? Yeah, that's a creepy vibe. The rotting theater seats, crumbling building, torn posters on the wall, tapered curtains, old projector footage, and on a dilapidated stage set, and honestly the clearest sky there has ever been in a new Zombies map up to now. This map is laid out so well too. Looping right into itself, it adopts the same 2-path layout that Der Riese and Verrückt have, turning on power and then having a center area loop right back to the start. This is such a simple and effective way to make the map flow so well and be really fun and easy to traverse. The map also sports an easy way to find the box once you turn on power, having a board that displays the top-down view of the map itself, with lights displaying what room it is in. This is such a great way to compensate for the indoor setting this map is primarily made up of. The map also has a great mix of close quarters, mid-open rooms, and wide-open play spaces that give enough room for the player to mess around and dodge zombies, and give basically any playstyle a player would want. Hell, even the close quarter spaces just have enough room to move around from an incoming zombie where it just doesn't feel unfair, and it just makes it, like, easy to actually move around the zombie. This map is just really fair in the way that it's laid out. No one room feels too cramped to squeeze past an enemy. Additionally, the traps on this map are incredibly well placed. They feel fun to use and they aren't out of the way like they were in most of World at War's maps. They're all located at a choke point that the player can easily take advantage of and lead a horde right to their end. This map also has a new wonder weapon, the Thunder Gun, a 2-shot repulsion cannon that kills any enemy within its blast. It can indefinitely kill as well. Woo!
Woo! What a blast!
This thing is insanely fun and powerful. The design of it is also wicked cool. Pack-a-Punch on this map is also super easy to access. After power has been activated, like Derice, you can use a teleporter to get to the Pack-a-Punch. Unlike Derice though, there is only a single pad to activate, the one in the spawn room. Once linked, you can use the teleporter to be transported into a projector room to use the Pack-a-Punch. You're on a timer about 30 seconds though, and you need to use the machine before being transported out. I love this. I love being able to use the Pack-a-Punch in a room that is just absent of zombies. It just allows you to just relax for a moment, get upgraded, and get back into the fight later. It's so fun, and it's such a nice addition to the map. Once transported out though, there is a chance you will spawn in some random creepy room. In these rooms are film reels that you can grab and play on the projector next time you use the Pack-a-Punch. This is neat! The story of this map is pretty simple. When firing the Wunderwaffe in one of the teleporters at Derice, it overloads the teleporter and sends the characters forward in time from 1945 to 1963. Along the way, Richtofen lost his journal that is needed for his grand plan, whatever that is. This map does feature the same cast of characters from Shi No Numa and Derice. Now, while the story here is simple, the map itself is incredibly strong, being one of the most fun maps to play thus far. Minus one thing, and that is the new zombie enemy, the Nova Crawlers. Unlike the dogs, which get their own dedicated round, which are also on this map by the way, Nova Crawlers spawn throughout the same round as the normal zombie. They crawl down from the ceilings after you turn on power, and they stay low to the ground and have the same health pool as a normal zombie. Upon killing them, they explode and leave a lingering gas cloud behind that blurs your vision. This is just a downright annoying enemy. It's never fun to have your vision impaired when you're playing a fast-paced game where you need to be aware of your surroundings. What's worse though, is if they explode close to you, you'll be stunned as well. Meaning your vision is worse, you're slowed to a crawl, and your ears are now ringing as well. Then to add insult to injury, they are on the floors at all times. You have to aim downwards to hit them as well as aim back up to normal zombies. Half the time you'll miss them in your vision completely, and then you'll need to either quickly react or accept the cretin on the floor as your doom. This is such an annoying enemy, and especially since they respawn just as often as a normal zombie, you can literally have hordes of these things at feet level, absolutely terrorizing the shit out of you. The only way to avoid making them explode is through either knifing them or killing them with one of the wonder weapons. This helps a little, but is a band-aid because I really should not be able to rely on weapons like that to eliminate a zombie without proving an annoyance. But this map song is so banging that I'm willing to look past that annoyance. Overall, I think this is a gold standard to make a map with all the fundamental core mechanics of a zombie map. Kino der Toten sticks to the name and is Kino. This map rocks so hard. But like I said, I think this is as far as a map can get with the basic fundamental mechanics of zombies. Zombies would soon evolve once again and forever be changed. But before then, there are still 2 more experiences that launched alongside Kino. You can sell me alone, you can call out your cars, you can fence in your yard, you can pull all the cars, but I won't back down. Oh no, I won't. Aside from Kino der Toten, there was a secret second launch map. Like Noct, this map would be only unlocked through beating the campaign of BO1. This map is so goofy, hard, fun, and just insane from concept to execution. This is the first ever zombies map with a fully rendered cutscene, and I'm just gonna play it here. Listen, the cutscene is legendary.
For time and the world do not stand still. Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. I said are certain to miss the future.
Oh no, I missed that. Prime Minister Castro, this missile crisis was the last straw. We almost blew ourselves up. Now, we invited you here today...
In good faith.
In good faith. To sort this thing out.
And why is he here? He lost.
As I always say, forgive your enemies, but remember their names. Now, gentlemen, as I like to think, in the long history of the world, that there are only a few generations.
Sounds like someone breaking in!
It's just a storm, Dick. Sit down.
Oh my God!
It appears the Pentagon has been breached.
Zombies. Gentlemen, at times like these, our capacity to retaliate must be, and has to be, massive to deter all forms of aggression. Gentlemen, lock and load.
Viva la revolución! Any last words, Mr. President?
Yes, Jack. Any superlative words of inspiration for our humble troops?
Do not pray for easy lives, my friends. Pray to be stronger men.
JFK, Fidel Castro, Nixon, and US Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara fighting zombies. This is so ridiculously goofy, and their voice lines do not disappoint at all. These characters are insane. I love it so much. This entire map, by the way, has you battling zombies in the Pentagon.
Turn on the TV, they hit the Pentagon! They hit the fucking Pentagon!
I swear this map just has the most personality out of any zombies map thus far, simply because of how crazy and unique it is. This map has a really solid design, being sectioned into 3 separate floors: the spawn room, which takes place in offices of the Pentagon, the war room, and the labs. Taking an elevator to go floor from floor, each one of these areas are primarily composed of close quarter hallways and small rooms. Even the semi-open bottom floor of the war room feels claustrophobic and has objects placed in it that just allow it to just be like open, but not too open. It's an insanely tight map on nearly all fronts. The offices are incredibly chaotic and prove to have some fun camping spots similar to that of Derice's Catwalk, which I forgot to mention. I mean, not as good, but like the second most fun camping spot I've ever played in, so there's that. The war room's main floor, though, is the most fun, as it's just fun to run around and trail the zombies behind you and dodge the incoming ones. Unfortunately, this map is not 3 for 3 with its floors, as the labs is the foul place here. That's because it's got these guys again. This is the only place with Nova 6 crawlers on this map. What was an issue on Kino is an issue here, but they're worse here. Their spawn rate is insane and spawn around every corner and leave the fog behind and can stun you and are low to the ground, and this place sucks. It just sucks. It also does not help that this area feels super out of place with the rest of the map, as it does not really make sense to have this messed up lab beneath a government building. And actually, wait, never mind. But compared to the offices in the war room, this section just feels artistically out of place. Even with the elevator leading down to it, it feels like it should be fit more on a map that is more focused on being an overrun, rundown zombies lab rather than the Pentagon. It just feels super out of place. Artistically, artistically, for all we know. I mean, I don't know what's below the Pentagon. The zombies spawning down here are just crazy. It makes this area feel mind-boggling and heart-racing, but not in the fun way. The only way to exit this place is through the elevator you came down, which isn't going to happen, or through the teleporters this map offers. Unlike the teleporters on Derice and Kino, these ones are automatically activated once you turn on the power located in the labs. These teleporters randomly send you somewhere on the map, whether it's back to the spawn room, war room, or keeping you trapped in the labs like Purgatory. This is a good idea in theory, but you literally can never tell where you're going to go at any point, so it can get annoying really fast. It's weird, because they do have a special look for when it comes to the Pack-a-Punch location, but not anywhere else. Sad. This map has a special round like dogs, though, but this time, it's not dogs. Dogs are not on this map at all. But there is a funky fellow that comes to switch it up. The first boss zombie appears, the Pentagon Thief, a lurking crazy science dude that once locks eyes with you, bolts at you incredibly fast, and steals your weapon that you have in hand, and then teleports you to the labs. While this place in normal rounds is asinine, in this moment, this becomes fun. See, the weapon stealing isn't just a steal, and that's that, because that would absolutely ruin this map. You get the chance to take your weapon back by killing the Pentagon Thief. This is where the labs actually serve as a fun area. The Pentagon Thief runs around this area like it's a maze, utilizing the teleporters in tight corners to avoid fire from you. You have a limited time to kill the thief before he runs off into the power room and uses the teleporter there, and you lose your gun permanently. Kill him before, though, which isn't too difficult, and you will get your weapon back, along with a max ammo and a fire sale. If you kill him before he steals your weapon, though, he will drop a bonfire sale, which links all the teleporters to the Pack-a-Punch and drops the 5,000 point price of the Pack-a-Punch to 1,000 points for 30 seconds. So, really good reward and fun round shakeup. It utilizes the labs in a fun way and makes for a genuinely threatening enemy that has a tense round. He also adds a lot of fun and personality to the map and gets a unique feel, as he is the only enemy that functions like this in BO1. Speaking of Pack-a-Punch, this map's normal access to Pack-a-Punch is simple. All you have to do is activate 5 DEFCON switches on the war room and boom! The center teleporter leads right to Pack-a-Punch. This is so fun though, as if you're mid-round and you want to leave the room, there is a countdown timer that till the door opens after you finish Pack-a-Punching. Then when it opens, you get to unleash hell and fight your way out. Or you can have to wait until the end of the round and just, you know, deal with the one friend you got waiting for you. Another feature on this map is the new wonder weapon, the Winter's Howl. Raw name, lame wonder weapon. This is unfortunate as it really only works to slow down enemies and doesn't really kill the zombies. To kill the zombie, you need to spam fire the weapon, and frankly this weapon does not provide the sufficient amount of ammo to allow that. Its killing power is simply just too low, especially way too early into the game. This is upgraded on round 20 by the way. Raygun is way more effective and has more ammo. I will say this though, I think the design is neat, as it feels like it's an attempt to replicate something like the ray gun, but under the US government, rather than made by some crazed German scientist. The last new addition to this map is a new power-up, Death Machine. It's just a minigun, so yeah, it's a great and fun power-up. So basically I'd say 5 is a really great map, only held back by like a couple flaws or lacking features. But man, I love this map. This is what feels like a fun, hard map. Verrückt doesn't do it for me in this regard, but 5 does. This is the kind of map that makes you a better player, and you have fun with it. It's brimming with personality, and a really fun and unique boss enemy. I love the cast of this map. I love most of the playable spaces. I love the Pentagon Thief. I love the Pack-a-Punch room. I love the Eminem song for this map. Yes, the featured song on this map is by Eminem and Pink. I am not joking. It's fun and I like it. Okay, shut up. So basically, 5 is a really great map and stands really well next to Kino and as one of the launch maps of Black Ops 1. So yeah, Black Ops 1 in general launched with 2 really great zombie maps. But there's one more bonus mode before we get to the additional maps. Dead Ops Arcade, the third zombies experience that launched with Black Ops 1. This is unlike anything else that's come before. This is a top-down arcade game where you fire at the zombies and try not to get hit. Throughout this, you'll complete waves and then move to the next area. You collect loot, pick up power items, and basically go as long as you possibly can to try and beat the silverback gorilla at the end. This mode is suited much more to be played with friends and truly compete for the highest score, because this is very much like a arcade machine game that you would play at like your Chuck E. Cheese. I don't know. It's fitted to play like an arcade game. It's really simple. It literally gives you gems and gold to gain a higher score. It is incentivizing you to go for the highest score possible, like an arcade game. But I gotta say, the music for this one is banging. The first additional map to the game was Ascension, an abandoned cosmodrome in Russia, and oh my lord does it nail this concept. The place looks and feels abandoned to the T, and it works so well. Not to mention, this map begins with a really cool presentation. Landing in a lunar lander and seeing an overhead view of the map as the lander descends, the color fades and everything turns to black and white. Until you turn on the power, everything's black and white, and as the color comes back, you hear a man talking over a speakerphone, and then a rocket lines itself up onto the launch pad. This is such a cool way to present the map, and it feels like you get a double reveal once the power's on. It's neat. Like every map since Shi No Numa, the map's design here is really strong. It's mostly close quarters with a couple of spots to train or kite zombies, I haven't been using these terms to describe what is basically running in a circle and piling up the horde and then blasting into it, but if I choose one, it could be the death of me. Anyways, while it's primarily close quarters maps inside the buildings, it feels very open on the outside of the buildings. There's a lot more wiggle room between you and the zombies in the outside areas. This map also comes with a bit of verticality. While on most other maps thus far have the player primarily take only smaller jumps, Doris, and most noticeably this map, have you take huge leaps from big heights. There's a caveat to this though. You can take damage or get stunned from the fall, and that could be fatal enough to end the game. So this verticality would be a constant issue put on the player and would result in an unfair and annoying death, right? Wrong, because that would be a really stupid game design idea, and there's no way they would ever do that. They have a fix, a fun one at that. One of the new perks on this map, PhD Flopper. For 2,000 points, you have a perk that eliminates all fall damage. Along with this, you are also now immune to your own explosive damage, meaning you can do this with the ray gun.
Unstoppable!
And on top of that, you can dolphin dive by sprinting and holding your prone button off an elevated platform to create an explosion around you, eliminating nearly all zombies nearby. So basically this perk is freaking awesome and wicked. And it's not even the only one on this map. The other new perk that came with this map's release was Stamina. For 2,000 points, your movement speed is increased as well as sprinting longer. That's it. It's super simple, but it's really fun to move faster and be more agile in general. It's a really great perk. This map has introduced two really great perks, but it took away another. Double Tap. This is the only map to remove a perk that was previously introduced. It could make sense being that there are just 6 perks to choose from on this map instead of 7, but the real reason is unclear. It may have been for a possible balancing or just was cut from the map for who knows what reason. For me personally, it doesn't take away from the game, as I never really considered Double Tap in World at War and BO1 to be very great, considering it just melts your mag. Like, it just blows through ammo so fast. I don't really think it's at all useful, considering that it just fires twice as fast and you lose your ammo twice as fast. It's just kind of just ineffective. But I can see how this could be a negative for other players who do enjoy the perk. I do think these 2 additional perks though make up for it, as they add a lot more fun and agility to the gameplay as is. Alongside the 2 new perks are 2 new wonder weapons. They're going 2 for 2 on this map. These wonder weapons though aren't the same as the Thunder Gun, Ray Gun, or Winter's Howl. These are similar to that of the Monkey Bomb. These 2 new wonder weapons are the Matryoshka Dolls and the Gersh device. The Matryoshka Dolls function as a multiplying explosive device, I think I said that right, being a bit more effective than the grenade, both in killing power and just spread of explosion, considering its main function is to spread out. These are fine and neat on their own and are pretty effective, much better than grenades, and even sometimes better than monkey bombs. They deal a hell of a lot of damage. But considering that they are competing for a secondary grenade slot, and there are 2 wonder weapons on this map that are secondary grenades, it's not much of a looker here on this map. The Gersh device, on the other hand, well, this thing really sticks to the name of a wonder weapon. When thrown, it creates a black hole, sucking in and killing any zombie that comes near it instantaneously. If you get so curious and want to jump in said black hole, you may, and it will teleport you to a random location on the map. This is easily one of the best wonder weapons, being flashy, effective, and versatile. Additionally, the Thunder Gun returns to this map, and as always, the Ray Gun persists, and it will persist through every map in these games, unless I say so. I have yet to talk about turning on power and Pack-a-Punch though. There are arrows to point to the player to turn on power, simple map percussion per the norm. And after turning on the power, you will now be able to see that, hey, you can now use these landers at certain locations. So, one might call the lander to their location and then use it, and they'll fly back to spawn. Once landed, you will see that there's a rocket diagram just above the player's head and displaying a new green section and then 2 red sections. The player would naturally infer that using the landers powers up something. After doing this 2 more times at 2 different landers, the player would then hear over the speakerphone that the rocket would be ready to launch. So the player might think back to when they turned on power, where this exact diagram was next to the power switch. Going back to that diagram, you will be prompted to launch the rocket, and then you just get to see a giant rocket blast into the sky. Or you can blow it up with the ray gun. Lamau. If you investigate the area from where the rocket launched, you will find Pack-a-Punch just sitting in a room underneath where the rocket was. This isn't nearly as simple as any of the other unlocks before, but encourages the player to piece together and unlock the Pack-a-Punch in a similar way to the way you unlock Pack-a-Punch in Durice, but different enough to make it just unique. There's also a new trap on this map, the Fire Trap. It's similar to the one in Kino der Toten, which I forgot to mention, but much easier to kill zombies considering it's a choke point. This map also features the first actual Easter egg quest. Up until this point, Easter eggs have existed as a silly way to play the map song, listen to the story bits through the audio tapes, and even some neat visuals like projector tapes on Kino der Toten, or the Richtofen photo on 5. But this time, there's an actual quest. Alongside it, you can get the story through radios and find out just more about this map and just the story that's going on. I'm not going to be talking about the story too much on this one because it's frankly not that interesting. It's about a scientist named Gersh who basically worked with 115 and got himself just transported into an ethereal plane and has been turned into a ball. The quest here is nothing really crazy to talk about. You have to press some buttons, you have to turn on a TV, you have to fly landers to different specific locations, you have to stand on a pad for a certain amount of time, and then you get to throw a Gersh device on an orb and then blow it up. That's it? I don't know. I don't really want to talk about this one. It's not really much of a looker. I mean, you're rewarded with a death machine for 150 seconds. I think that's the time. Yeah, it's an okay quest. It's not really that great. This is a scattershot randomly assorted bunch of steps, and it's really chalked up to be, hey guys, look, we did this weird thing and you get a weird reward. This is just something. It exists. It really adds nothing to the map, and it doesn't really just... You can play the map without ever knowing it existed. Trust me, I played this map countless times without ever knowing this Easter egg was even here. And also, I can't complete the steps myself because it's a 4-player Easter egg, meaning you have to have 4 players to complete this quest. Its reward is okay. There's barely a story to this besides you freeing some guy's soul in an orb. Now, yes, in the overarching story of the Aether, which is the storyline of that this is named, it does have a place in the narrative, but honestly, I don't care. There are some little fun Easter eggs, though, that are around the map, such as the phones around the map similar to the ones that are on 5. If you interact with them, you can hear the characters from 5 saying quotes that they would say on the map 5. I said 5 a lot. This is because the events of 5 and Ascension are occurring at the exact same time. How are you able to hear it, though? I don't know. Still neat. Now, with all these factors, one might think, hey, this seems to be a really strong map, and possibly even stronger than any of the maps that have come before it. But there's one aspect on this map I have avoided discussion of. It is an aspect that honestly hurts this map tremendously, and that is the space monkeys. These little bastards, right here, they suck. These are the new special enemies. Unlike the Nova Crawlers, which are just an annoyance at worst, the monkeys are an active detriment to the game. Not only are they small, spawn in bunches, can stun you, can spawn anywhere, on this large map, there's a single feature they do. They steal your perks. Like on a small map, this would be annoying as hell, but at least it would be manageable. But oh no, this is the biggest map thus far. You have to run all over the map chasing after these guys to make sure they don't jump on the perk machines and steal your perk. It's so irritating. It makes me not want to play this map. It makes me not want to use perks on this map. It's just bad. Why would you make an enemy take away one of the core mechanics of the game like that and play it so awfully on such a large map? The difference between something like this and the Pentagon Thief is that the Pentagon Thief steals one gun, gives ample time for you to kill, not to mention you are in relatively small space to play in when chasing after this guy. This feels fair and fun and shakes up the round. These little shits though, spawn en masse, on a large map, all over the place, and attack multiple perk machines at once. You are basically guaranteed to lose a perk like this. Now, you can make the argument, well, in co-op play, you have designated teammates protecting these perks. And well, yeah, duh, but like, here's the thing. Not every player is able to assemble a team of people, nor do they want to play with other players all the time. I am a primarily solo player in these games, and I'm sure a lot of people are. And if a solo experience is not something I can enjoy, especially for a 12-year-old game, which you're not going to find a lot of players for, then that's just not fair. This mechanic incentivizes you to go and not grab many perks or to only focus on defending one. Completing these rounds does guarantee a max ammo like a dog round, and beating it without a single monkey touching a perk machine rewards you with a free perk. This is a great reward. If this was at all more fair, this is just an awful special enemy round that makes me really just not want to hop on to an otherwise really great map. This is a feature that detrimentally hurts the map. If you can ignore this and you were okay with dealing with this enemy though, then that's great, more power to you, because I can see this map being a favorite if those monkeys did not exist at all. Also, one last annoying thing that they do is that they can throw grenades back at you if you throw a grenade at them. I hate these things. Overall, Ascension's an incredibly strong map. It's really fun to play outside the special rounds and has 2 new wonderful perks, fun wonder weapons, a really cool presentation, and a fun pack-a-punch unlock. But this map is unfortunately bogged down by the special enemies and its designated rounds for a multitude of reasons. The biggest being it steals a core mechanic of the game and a frankly asinine process and really kills the map's enjoyment. The fundamental idea of an Easter egg quest has been introduced in its most basic form, and from here they would only evolve it into either some of the series' best and most fun quests to ever play, and some of the most confusing messes there could ever be that would just ruin a player's experience. Call of the Dead, the second additional map in Black Ops 1 season, this time taking place on a film set near an old Siberian outpost. Wait, a film set, you might ask? Yep, that's because zombie movie legend George Romero is here and making a new zombie movie at this outpost. This map takes place in 2011, featuring a celebrity cast of Danny Trejo, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Robert Englund, and Michael Rooker. This is such a fun cast of characters to be facing off against zombies, and George Romero himself, after he had become zombified and is now roaming as a boss enemy on this map. Rather than having a special zombie round, this map has a consistently roaming enemy on the map. He mostly exists to prevent the player from camping or staying in the same spot for too long. If he hits you or you shoot him, he will go into an enraged state chasing after the player and shocking them. He can either be temporarily calmed down for 10 seconds using one of the map's wonder weapons, the VR-11, or you can guide him to one of the many water pools around the map and he will return to his normal roaming state. He can also buff zombies' speed on occasion, sending them into a sprint when he shocks them. He can be killed, but it's no easy task. He has a health pool of 250,000 HP. This is an incredibly high health pool compared to the standard zombie. It also scales an extra 250,000 based on how many players you have in the map, meaning he could be up to 1,000,000 HP with 4 players. This isn't necessarily a negative though, since he is a slow-moving roaming boss enemy that hits fairly slow and is easy to avoid. Once defeated, he will drop a death machine and a random free perk. If you complete the Easter egg on this map though, he will reward you with a temporary wonder waff rather than a death machine, which is a really neat reward. He's a super unique boss enemy and is a defining feature of this map that sets it aside from most. Now, let's talk about the actual map itself. Like Ascension, it nails that abandoned feeling of this site. Feeling like it's been here for decades and been frozen over and forgotten, the atmosphere of the frigid landscape that is Siberia being present here, with the first ever dynamic weather changing from hard snow with fog to a light snow with a clear visibility. It is a small change, but really adds to the map's atmosphere, and I think it's really cool. This map primarily takes place outside with only a few buildings to stay in. All the buildings are fairly close quarters, but nothing nearly as tight as Five's labs or the entirety of Erupt. There are also plenty of ways to escape the Horde through various openings and drop downs, not to mention new forms of travel. Once power is turned on, you'll be granted to 2 new ways of travel. Either the springboard on the ship, which launches you to the lighthouse, or the 2 zip lines you can ride down. Zombies and George can ride down these zip lines as well. Any zombie on the springboard will be killed when launching. This is a super interactive and easy to navigate map with a lot of defined locations with recognizable landmarks, making it easier for the player to not get lost. I can't imagine too many players getting lost unless there is fog blocking the view of certain landmarks. Power, once again, is simple to turn on, being located in the captain's deck on the ship and just flipping the switch. The only real negative about the map's design is the water pools. While for the most part these pools are avoidable, there are points where there are perks and Pack-a-Punch located in the water. It slows your movement and now has a freezing over effect on your screen, blurring your vision. This would be annoying on its own, but really not the worst thing in the world. But just like Shinonuma, zombies are not slowed by this. They still run at the same speed, making this just like the same issue in Shinonuma, now only more annoying with your vision being impaired. Another potentially annoying factor is the Pack-a-Punch. Once turning on power, Pack-a-Punch is unlocked, but is roaming now, indicated by the lighthouse shining a beam of light into a certain location, coupled with a flashing of lightning. Pack-a-Punch will spawn in a new area every 5 to 10 minutes. When the light is not shining on a specific area, the Pack-a-Punch is incapable of being used. Where every map up until this point has had the Pack-a-Punch at a designated area for you to access at any time, this switches it up by placing it in randomly 3 different specific areas. Learning these areas wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the fact that it seemingly switches every 5 to 10 minutes. And also the fact that every location is in the water is pretty annoying. It really is the map's biggest negative, since in reality most people will pick to stick around one spawn and wait for the Pack-a-Punch to show up at that place. This map also features a brand new perk, Deadshot Daiquiri. For 1500 points, you can aim lock onto a zombie's head, have reduced recoil, and it also removes idle sway on your snipers. Frankly, this is not a perk I like, I'm not gonna lie. While I can find use or reason to buy any of the other perks in this game, this is the one that seems to only benefit a select group of people, rather than potentially providing something for everyone, like all the other perks have. All other perks introduced thus far return as well, and they will continue throughout the rest of this game. Headshot is actually the last perk to be introduced into this game, and every map after this will feature all 8 perks. The Matryoshka dolls also returned from Ascension, and they are actually really fun here now, because there's not a much stronger competitor. Having the Matryoshka dolls is actually worth it now. As per the norm though, the map comes with 2 new wonder weapons. The VR-11, a single fire weapon that turns a random person into a zombie for a distraction, and the Scavenger, a 3-fire sniper that sticks an explosive dart onto an enemy to deal massive amounts of damage. Unlike any unique wonder weapon before this, neither of the weapons infinitely scale. These 2 weapons are a mixed bag for sure. While the Scavenger isn't the worst wonder weapon, you basically need PhD to survive while using it, because the blast radius is massive. And the VR-11 is such an odd one. It can be used more effectively in co-op, since shooting your teammate with it will grant the player insta-kill, but in solo this basically serves 0 use aside from a weak distraction. It's a gimmick weapon, as it's only useful to the Easter egg quest, and that's it. Kind of a shame, since these don't even get much style points. Their designs are really nothing that are too interesting. It's just, they're weird. Now into something different that I kind of want to talk about. This map has lore! There's this whole ending cutscene to this map where George Romero talks about how there's this old facility here where Group 935 did tests with 115, which is just cool. There's an old Group 935 facility here in Siberia, a facility where Richtofen was stationed for a long time. Through radios found around the map, it is here where it is revealed most of the original testing with 115 was conducted, mythical objects that came alongside with the 115 meteors, and reveals that there are multiple test subjects that Richtofen himself had tested on. All of these test subjects, besides the unnamed Mexican spy, were the characters Dempsey, Takio, and Nikolai. They were the test subjects brought here through different means, tested on, and then put on ice eventually. These characters lost their memories in their previous excursions, and after Richtofen killed Maxis, he needed them to help with his plan. They have no memory of Richtofen doing the tests on them, and they are just fragmented people of who they once used to be. Another neat thing is that it's also revealed that he crafted the Wunderwaffe, and wanted it mass-produced at some point. Now obviously this isn't a required thing for the map, it's all supplemental material that fleshes out more aspects of the underlying story at hand. This does add context with the Easter egg though, but that's just me geeking out about these characters. This does add a little bit of context to the Easter egg though. This quest becomes active after you turn on the power. If you walk past the vault door near PhD, you will hear the main crew of characters bickering in the vault. Also, I'm tired of calling them the main crew, so for now they're going to go by their official name of the Ultimus crew. Ultimus teleported here through time to find one of those ancient artifacts Richtofen discovered when doing research here. If you knife or interact with the door, they start asking if someone is out there. You'll be prompted to find a fuse in the PhD room. Once grabbing it and putting the fuse box next to the door, it will turn on power in the room and a security system. To turn this off, you need to throw Semtex grenades on top of 4 generators with red lights around the map, or be incredibly skilled with the timing of a grenade with these hits, and you need to hit the top part with an explosive specifically. After completing this, you can return and then be instructed to contact a submarine. There's a Morse code sound that's happening, but since this egg has been out for like 10 years, you don't really need to solve the Morse code, nor do you probably want to. All you gotta do is just go to the ship's steering room, turn the wheel twice, pull the left lever once, and the right one 3 times. And then the ship will honk a horn, honk honk, and then a green beam will shine onto a submarine. Look, there it is. After doing this, you need to run to the lighthouse, shoot a zombie with the VR-11. Wow, look, there's the gimmick, it did something! Shoot the human, down him, and then he will be turned into an artifact called the Vril device. This thing. This is the object Richtofen asked you to grab, so success! Yippee! Put the Vril device to the tube in the left side of the door. Richtofen will thank you, and then they will ask you to fix the power after failing a teleportation. Knife the fuse box, and then they will be off. Completing this gives you a free Wonderwaff power-up. This is just a much more fun egg to do than Ascension, and also you can do it solo. So like, whoop! There is a co-op specific one that has some different steps, but the same ending. And finally, as included in all maps, a new song, this time by Avenged Sevenfold, so it's obviously a banger. Overall, Call of the Dead is a really great entry, being a really well-designed map with a unique boss enemy, fun cast, great lore, fun Easter egg, and really fun modes of transportation. There really are only some issues, being inconveniences at worst. The water can be annoying, but is avoidable for the most part. These wonder weapons are underwhelming in both in power and design, and the roaming pack-a-punch is just an annoying feature overall. Sitting pack in a single place that's usually just outside of the map, something like Kino and 5, they're just the best. None of these factors ruin the map like Ascension in this case. Its strong aspects are really strong and the weaker ones are just okay, and it just kind of holds this back just a little bit. But none of these ruin the map. Now on to the next map, taking us back in time with the Ultimus crew. The third additional map to Black Ops 1 was Shangri-La, an ancient temple overrun by the lush jungle with an abandoned Element 115 mining operation underneath. The Ultimus crew teleport here in the year of 1956 in search of another ancient artifact Richtofen is after. This one is called the Focusing Stone. This entire season of Zombies plot has just been go to place, grab thing for Richtofen, get the thing for Richtofen, leave. It's riveting, honestly. I'm gonna be honest. This was a map that I went into expecting to not like. When I was younger, I hated this map. I despised it. This was one of my least favorite Zombies maps just ever. I think when I was a kid, I preferred Nocturne and Toten over this map, which is kind of insane. But upon revisiting this map, I kind of like it. This map fares really well, I'd say. The design is great. The idea of the map taking place in an ancient temple with this really mythical atmosphere and cramped gameplay, really cool ideas, I must say. And yeah, the map's art design is really good. The skybox is gorgeous, and especially during the Easter egg when it switches, oh my gosh. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. And not to mention all the mysterious and intricate details on like the actual like temple itself and the underground area. It's really good. It's really strong. The map's packed for how small it is. My favorite thing about this map though is its flow. It's immaculate. It has such a clear direction of where to go and really hard to find yourself lost in anywhere, as it funnels you into the power and loops you right back to the up top part of the map itself. It's as good as Kindred or Toten in that department. In some aspects, I'd say a little better. It's a super tight map being composed mostly of tight corners, thin hallways, cluttered rooms, and basically no real areas to camp or train. This map encourages and basically forces a run and gun play style, and I love it. That's just how I like to play this game mode. It's insane, chaotic, and fun to me. This is where you can see the map's flow in full effect, constantly taking advantage of all the map's mechanics, and it really does bring a great and fun experience. There are geyser pools that you can stand on and shoot you up out of the mines back to the surface. There's a minecart and a water slide that you can ride to get you across the map in seconds. These all work to the map's design, intent, and challenge. They're really great. Problem: there are these things. These are annoying. These are spike traps. When you run over them, they will activate and shoot up out of the ground 3 times in succession. So there is a chance you will get injured and stuck multiple times, which will leave you vulnerable when you try to exit it. This map also has additions to slow you down, like the placement of some water pools and a mud pit maze on one side of the map. What a small name that I couldn't even fully pronounce it. The mud pit maze, what a mouthful, is this pressure plate maze that you have to follow or else you will be walking through mud. The puzzle is random with no indication of what direction it will force you into. It can literally lead you in a circle and throw you right back at the horde of zombies you may have been trying to escape. And this is the worst mud across both games. It's awful. It's asinine. It moves you to a waddle. It makes you move at a snail's pace. Maybe even slower. And the zombies, guess what? They still move the same speed as they usually do. They aren't affected by the mud. Granted, this is in a single area, but it's not something out of the way like the majority of the pools in Call of the Dead. This is something in the path of the player and they cannot avoid it. If you want to take full advantage of the way that this map flows and it's looping, this is just a stick in the mud. Pun intended. It's just an awfully placed mechanism that would otherwise be cool on a more open map, minus the mud, but this map is just so cramped and extremely claustrophobic. Even in the outside areas, you still feel like every part of the map around you is keeping you contained and trapped, which is cool, but damn does it make it difficult to play. Which I know is this map's whole just appeal, and I totally get it. The mines especially are hard to traverse. You can find yourself getting blocked by zombies when you're trying to fit through hallways down there constantly. Is it high octane? Yes. But can it become frustrating? 100% yes. It's a really good idea and can be really fun. But the awful weapon selection of BO1 and the fact that you run out of ammo so very often brings up a lot more frustration on this map than any other map usually does. This map also features a new special enemy. Well, actually 2 special enemies. They can both spawn mid-round. There is the Shrieker, a fast-moving zombie that can blur your screen with loud screech, and the Napalm Zombie, a slow-moving, high-health pool fire zombie that will explode into a ball of fire when walked near or killed, leaving fire to burn on the ground. The Shrieker is a pretty fair enemy to deal with, as its blind doesn't stun the player entirely. It provides a shake-up, but also just doesn't add much since it basically just shows up and dies a lot of the time. It's kind of forgettable.
That sound was driving me nuts.
The Napalm Zombie, though, is really tough. This one deals an insane amount of damage. If you get too close to it, it'll kill you instantly. You can avoid it sometimes though by jumping around them, but you will still take a great deal of damage and get stunned. And your vision is now stunted. And also you're burning. Now, why not kill it from farther distance? Well, distance is not exactly an easy thing to get in this map, since it's an incredibly tight and close quarters map at nearly all times. Granted, this enemy doesn't spawn in hordes and only one can exist on the map at a time. You can kill them without taking damage, it just requires a bit of planning. Which, yeah, that's not a bad idea. It also is the closest thing that can count as a trap on this map, as it kills all near zombies when blown up and leaves fire on the ground after being killed. The fire will deal great damage to you, but also will result in a zombie being killed. It's a cool and unique and versatile enemy. It's interactive, and that's really neat. It is a lot more interesting than the Shrieker, which is kind of a pushover and forgettable, once again. Overall, the Napalm Zombie is an interesting, deadly, and unique enemy that can be a tad bit annoying with the range it has on its explosion, but overall, I'd say it's pretty great. The monkeys from Ascension also return to this map. Thankfully, they are nowhere near as annoying as any of the ones on Ascension, but still prove to be annoying. On this map, every time a power-up drops, the monkeys will start screeching and going after the power-up to steal it. If you grab the power-up before the monkey does, it will chase after you and do damage to you, which is straight up stupid and dumb and annoying and dumb and stupid and dumb and dumb. That's really the only annoying thing about them, aside from how freaking loud they are when they're hooting and hollering over there. When they pick up the power-up, you can see the power-up changing and switching between different power-ups. So if you're looking for a max ammo, and you can use the monkey to your advantage and wait till it switches for that power-up. It's a neat feature. I still hate them though, personally, but I can give them points to the fact that it is definitely unique, and once again, interactive. I kind of like that. Wish they weren't so freaking loud. Pack-a-Punch is also easy to unlock in solo play. All you need to do is just stand on a single pressurized plate that just is sticking up out of the ground. And then, voila, Pack-a-Punch is open at the spawn room, run up the stairs, and into the temple. It's on a timer though, like Kino's film room. It's super cool and a neat area to put Pack in. It's annoying though in co-op because you need to have all players standing on different plates at the same time, which is just a nightmare. This map also displays the return of the monkey bombs, which hadn't shown up since Kino der Toten. There's also a brand new wonder weapon, the 3179 JGB 215. Or you can just call it the shrink gun, because I'm not calling it the baby gun. They are not babies. These are not babies. If you call them babies, that's a dumb name. You shouldn't have called it the baby gun. It doesn't make babies. These are shrinked zombies. The name baby gun is a dumb name. You can't make me say it. Nuh-uh. Regardless of what you may call it, the JGB is a baller wonder weapon. Shrinking zombies down and then allowing you to punt and kill them is instantly just going to become just a really cool weapon. You can also kill them on any round when shrunk. You can just kick them on any round. It scales infinitely. This is a crazy good wonder weapon with a really cool design and a hell of a lot of style. But there is one, and I really mean it when I say one drawback to this weapon. The little zombie can still hit you. Even when you're running through them, you can still take damage. Now, this is not too big of an issue. It just can be worrying and makes it kind of difficult to gauge how much damage you're taking from the hits. Because, like, I don't know if I'm in any real danger here. In later games like Cold War, when health bars are introduced, it's easy to tell and assess the situation and see how you need to react to being hit with any incoming damage. But in this game, you just don't have that luxury. You can't really tell if you're in a dangerous situation or in a this is a small little annoyance that will deal no damage to me situation. But as long as you're careful with the weapon though, you're in for a really fun wonder weapon. This map also brings back rotating perks like there was in Shi No Numa. But the difference is that this map is not as simple as Shi No Numa. Plus there's like double the amount of perks now. Like straight up. So when you load into the map and the perks are cycled, it can be annoying to not have them in the same place and plan around them to get to that path. But these aren't too awful, since Speed Cola and Jug are the only ones that swap on the outside areas. All the other perks in the mines, except for Mule Kick and Quick Revive, all cycle throughout their spawn points. So they keep to a rule and are fairly close proximity to each other, but if you just want to run for Jug as soon as you turn on power, it might suck when you're not on the side you open first. But once again, not really that big of an issue. It can be though for some players. Now the story here, Richtofen is looking for the last artifact he needs, the Focusing Stone. That's what the Easter egg quest is all about. This is the first 4-player required Easter egg, which I personally think is just not fun to do, and it leaves me out to do stuff because I can't do this Easter egg. I do think there should be a solo-friendly alternative to the quest like Call of the Dead, along with a co-op quest. But oh well, I suppose. To get it, you must travel back in time using an eclipse and enter the time period in which there were 2 explorers, Brock and Gary, stuck in a time loop. These explorers found the ancient temple of Shangri-La. If you help them during the eclipse mode, you will be able to activate these orbs, and you will need to charge and shrink down the giant meteorite that crashed at the top of the temple. This is one of the most unique quests in Zombies, mostly because of its steps. It has you matching tiles with your teammates, leading a napalm zombie down a tunnel to light gas valves, and even ricocheting the JGB shot off the orbs to shrink down the Focusing Stone and then be collected. It's a really neat quest that has a really cool visual change to it with the Eclipse mode. It's just neat. Overall, Shangri-La is another solid map in Black Ops 1's lineup, with only a few things pulling it down just a bit. I'd say this is the hardest map yet, since it has the aggression of Black Ops 1 zombies, virtually no place to camp or kite zombies, and no traps, besides the napalm zombie. This map is crammed with little wiggle room all around, but flows really well. The map design and the art direction of this one are some of the best in this silly little game mode, taking full advantage of the other modes of transportation being the slide, the minecart, the geysers. This map flows really well. Unfortunately, with some sticks in the mud, once again pun intended, there are some aspects that disrupt the really strong flow of this map, being the mud pit maze, random pools of water, and spike traps. While they add to the overall aesthetic of the map, they really do disrupt the fast-paced flow that this map heavily depends on. The Shrieker is fair and easy to counterable, but is just forgettable and not really that interesting. The Napalm Zombie though is very interactive and very cool, and while the monkeys aren't necessarily awful, I personally find their inclusion annoying for similar reasons to Ascension, but definitely not to the same degree. It's just more of a personal gripe here for me, I think. Small, low-to-the-ground enemies that can be hard to hit, especially when they go after you when you're picking up your power-ups. I just think that enemy type is so annoying and I never will like it. The Easter egg on this map is really neat though, with some fun steps and a good time if you can get a squad of friends together and complete it. Shangri-La is a great idea, but comes with just one too many thorns in it to really love the map the same way I love some of the others. But it is still one of the strongest this game has to offer, if you can really get around some of these issues. The final map in Black Ops 1's lineup, Moon. A map that takes place on, well, the moon. More specifically a space station than on the surface of the moon, but you get my point. After teleporting out of Shangri-La, the Ultimus gang teleports to the near future of 2025, finding themselves at Groom Lake, Nevada, in Area 51. Before talking about the main location on the moon, let's discuss the spawn room. This is by far the best, most fun, and exhilarating spawn room yet to come out of Zombies. It is an entire event with zombies spawning from every corner. Not to mention, you spawn right in front of the Pack-a-Punch. There's no round counter, just the noise of zombies spawning and then a loud alarm. A couple seconds later, you'll hear a second alarm, and then the zombies start bolting. The zombies will go from a single knife kill to 2, and with each preceding alarm every 30 to 40 seconds, they will gain more health like a normal round. Hellhounds will also spawn in and chase after you. This is such an insane and fun start to the map and really sets the stage that you are in a finale. If you decide to step onto the main platform where the teleporter lies though, you will notice that the mini alarm will just notify you when the teleporter is ready. And also, at the beginning of the round, either Juggernog or Speed Cola will spawn down from the heavens and land on the teleporter pad area. After either leaving immediately or choosing to stay to earn enough money to either get one of the 2 perks or Pack-a-Punch, you will be teleported to the moon base known as Griffin Station. Now this keeps up the adrenaline for just a moment, where your character starts choking and can't breathe. It spawns you in front of an astronaut suit, you grab it, equip it, and then you are in a spacesuit. Swag. This map's first impressions are really great. Honestly, I think it's the best the game mode has shown thus far. It's even just fun to mess around and survive there long enough to get Jug, or even upgrade your pistol. It's intense, challenging, and most of all, fun. A wonderful introduction to the map. I'd say the first impressions on the moon are cool as well. There's this really creepy and eerie atmosphere to the map. The setting of the moon is just a really strong and cool one. There's low gravity, muffled sound, an ominous environment, and just a creepy abandoned station. It's really cool. The starting room is pretty enclosed and then immediately opens up the moment you decide to exit it, introducing you to the low gravity playstyle, general map aesthetic, and ominous vibe. Also introducing you to a new constant threat, the Cosmonaut. Like George from Call of the Dead, this is a slow moving, constantly present enemy. Unlike George though, his health pool is much lower and you can kill him relatively easy. When killed, he will create an explosive stun, sending you flying backwards, and any zombies in the area being killed. If you get too close to him though, he will grab you and headbutt you. When he does this, you will be randomly teleported to any part of the map and lose one of your perks at random. Okay.
Read over there in Danville.
Just like the monkeys from Ascension, getting your perks stolen is really annoying. But the Cosmonaut is nowhere near as bad as the monkeys in Ascension. He's not great, but he's nowhere near as bad. I'd say it's kind of actually acceptable. Now I won't say losing a perk is annoying, and still George is leagues above this guy. Hell, I'd even say the Pentagon Thief is way more fun to play with than this guy. But if you were to create an enemy that does take your perks, this is probably the best way to do it. A slow moving enemy that can be killed and can only take your perk if he gets you. Also, a neat thing about him is that he will have your friend's gamer tags if you're on a console. On PC though, it just gives the devs gamer tags. The console version is so cool. Having the enemy bear your friend's gamer tag is just a super unique and neat feature to the Cosmonaut. It's like they're impersonating your friend and also a space guy. Anyways, the enemy is fine in my humble opinion. This game has featured far more annoying enemies like the monkeys. Frankly, I would view the Cosmonauts similarly to that of the Napalm Zombie. While they can be annoying, nothing egregious and has some pretty neat factors to it that just make me like it enough to not hate it. Okay, enough about the sussy spacemen though. Let's talk about what is arguably the map's most important feature, the general layout and design. This map's design is unique from the rest of the lineup so far. While every map has looped into itself or had an easy around the map way to get you back to spawn room or just other parts of the map, Moon doesn't. Moon is much more linear in its progression, having you pick between one of two tunnel paths to lead into the area with power. Once power is on, the gravity and oxygen will be restored to all indoor areas, minus the power room. This then allows you to traverse the map as normal. From there you will move to the labs area. The labs are the most claustrophobic and tightest area of this map, very similar to that of the labs of 5. And then you will either move out onto the surface of the moon or the biodome depending on which path you choose. The surface of the moon is a wide open space that allows for high jumps and easy maneuvering around the zombies, thanks to the zero gravity. The biodome is a wide open area as well, but does not have the zero gravity, letting it work much closer to that of a normal wide open area on a zombies map. At the end of both these paths is a teleporter that leads you right back to the initial spawn, Groom Lake. This is how you get to Pack-a-Punch and how you either get Jug or Speed Cola. This starting area functions the same way as it did when you initially started. This entire early game setup process is so cool. Seemingly have you make a trek throughout all of the game's map design choices, separated into different sections on this one map. It's wicked. Especially with the wider and easier to maneuver areas, you are rewarded with that at the end. And while I'd say Moon is unique in how it moves linearly, that unique quality could also be a detriment. The only way to return to spawn though is to go back to the way you came, or teleport to Groom Lake and then teleport back. The linear concept of this map is really cool, but it comes at the expense of the flow of the map. The teleporter feels like the only satisfying way to get back to spawn, but once you use the teleporter to get back to spawn, you have to make the trek all the way back to the other side of the map again. There is no easy way of travel across this very linear map. This wasn't an issue before since you had the maps that looped into themselves like Kino der Toten, Der Riese, Verrucht, Shangri-La. Even maps that didn't entirely loop into themselves like Call of the Dead and Ascension had fast modes of transportation to get across the map. Now what makes this trek particularly annoying is one section, the labs. While the two hallways you have to come through at the beginning are close quarters, they're not too tight to become annoying or just hard to traverse through. And the biodome and the surface of the moon are not hard to just work with at all. The close quartersness of the labs though is awful. Like 5, the labs are the only place the Nova Crawlers spawn, which are included on this map. The difference is, here, they can teleport, so they're even more annoying, because in the later rounds, you might be bolting through the labs and then get either blocked or attacked from above you with these things. They still explode and stun you as well. This is just a very annoying section to traverse through on this map, especially since it is the tightest section out of any of the close quarter areas. But what would have you returning to spawn so very often that would make you need to be like pointing this out, you might ask? Well, that brings us to our next problem with this map, the excavators. After you turn on power, this map features 3 giant excavators that will turn on at random. Once any of the excavators are turned on, you will have 4 minutes before they reach their destination and begin drilling. These excavators will drill into sections of the map. 2 of them will block tunnels that lead from spawn to power, and the other one will just spawn in and destroy the biodome. The only way to prevent this is to pick up an item known as a hacker. and return to spawn to turn off one of these 3 flashing terminals. The hacker is an item found in the labs in 6 separate locations. It'll randomly spawn in any of those locations. Once you pick up the hacker, you will no longer be able to use your space helmet, meaning you will have to make the trek back to the spawn room without the helmet, meaning you need to go through the power room that has no oxygen and gravity, or use the teleporter. Once you get to the spawn room and turn it off, it will retreat back to its original position. If you fail to turn off the excavator before it reaches the part of the map though, it will block off one of those tunnel paths. You can still remove it after it breaks the tunnel, but there is 0 gravity and no oxygen in these sections. If you also decide not to tend to the excavator, a couple of rounds later, a second excavator will activate. And that possibly can be a second excavator that blocks out one of the other paths, which will block you out of spawn entirely or block you out of the power room entirely. I find this feature really annoying. It would also be so much better if there was some other way to move from spawn to the other end of the map, but since you can indeed get trapped in spawn, if you do not have a hacker with no way out, it's really annoying. Well, I mean, there's one potential way out, and that's to sacrifice a perk and allow you to get grabbed and teleported by the cosmonaut, but there's no guarantee that they will teleport you to the right location. And one final thing that can hurt this map's flow is the placement of Juggernog and Speed Cola. The only way to get these perks is at Groom Lake. Now, this is not a bad idea, you know? I mean, if you play to the strengths of this map and gain enough points right at the beginning, you can get Jug or Speed Cola. But if you're a casual player that does not want to deal with the stress of the spawn area, you'll have to do a full progression of the map and roll the dice on the perks that spawn there. If it was Jug at the start, it will be Speed Cola by the time you return, switching back and forth with each trip to Groom Lake. Placing what is arguably the most essential perk in the game, Juggernog, in a place separate from the main map that can only be required after you turned on power and progress through the entire map, and also get to the place where Pack-a-Punch is, and it'd also be on a chance and a switch between Speed Cola and that, it's kind of annoying. Black Ops 1 is a game that makes it basically essential for you to have Jug. In the later titles, running without Jug is far easier because of either your own health bar being higher or more nimble movement that just allows for that just easier and less Juggernog required playstyle. Placing it so far away from the player and making it a tedious task to get to by going through the whole process of teleportation to grab it and any time you just need it is just plain annoying. I can see how some players would not mind this feature all that much, and in reality it could be way worse, but personally I find this part of the map flow tedious. Anyways, enough complaining from me, let's discuss the banger shit that this map brings, and that is the main wonder weapon, the Wave Gun, a dual-wielding zap gun. You can then combine them together to make it into a rifle that causes zombies to blow up like a balloon and then pop. It deals infinite damage, meaning you can do this forever. This is awesome. This weapon bangs so much, like it's crazy. It has such a fun and goofy sci-fi design. There is this ding sound every time the zombie pops. The fact that the zombies blow up like balloons in general, it just has all that style. It has that swag. And just overall, it's so much fun to use. Ah, I love this thing. The other new wonder weapon is the Quantum Entanglement Device, or the QED for short. It's a secondary grenade weapon that basically works to just spew out a random effect at any time. It's unique as hell. There are 40 known effects for this thing. Known. So, let's go over them. It can spawn a turret of a ray gun spinning in 360 degrees, spawn a turret of an M2 Law, spawn of a turret of a China Lake, spawn a turret of a Spaz 12, spawn a turret of a Python. It can spawn in explosions similar to those produced by the church bottles, blowing up rapidly with a certain radius many times. A created explosion item is called a fragment. It is a black hole like the Gersh device. It can spawn a max ammo. It can spawn an anti-max ammo, which is a red max ammo zombies go after. If they pick it up, players will either lose all ammo in their current weapon or lose all ammo in their weapon's ammo reserve. It can spawn a death machine. It can convert all zombies within a certain radius into humans similar to the ones produced by the VR11. It can open its door for things. It can close an already open door. Then it can do absolutely nothing. This is the weapon ever. Aside from the QED, the Gersh device returns and is still a blessing passed down to us. And yeah, that's That's every new feature on the map, and we haven't even talked about the story or the Easter egg yet. The story and Easter egg quests of this map are actually something that kind of save it for me. The story isn't anything to write home about, but for this silly game mode, it's a great end to the game's iteration of zombies. This is a moon base long abandoned. Built by Group 935 in 1942 and led by Dr. Groff, Griffin Station exists in a way to study an ancient artifact left on the moon called the APD. This artifact held unknown power and was presumed to be connected to Element 115, as it has been found with it. After the station has completed construction, Samantha Maxis, daughter of Dr. Maxis, is teleported here from Der Riese. So yeah, she wasn't killed when Richtofen caused a malfunction on the teleporter. She then managed to get inside the APD here, and then hides there. The scientists can't get to her, so Dr. Groff contacts his compatriot, Richtofen. Richtofen assumes that if she survived the teleportation, so did Dr. Maxis, and orders Groff to locate Maxis. Maxis has been teleported to another realm known as Agartha, and was given the strange ability to infuse his consciousness into any electronic device. He was then teleported back to Earth. After Group 935 finds Maxis, they bring him to the moon base and bring him to the APD. Instead of getting Samantha to come out of the APD, he tells Samantha to kill them all before offing himself. Then the APD powers up with Samantha inside, and she has full control of the Aether and leads the undead horde against Group 935 and the Ultimus crew. So yeah, this basically canonizes a lot of stuff that's in this game. It explains why the zombies are always after our characters and always show up when our characters are around. It explains why there is a laugh at the end of each game that can sound a little bit like a little girl in some demonic, messed up way. The power-ups, the box saying bye-bye, all those voices from above was a little girl wanting revenge on this bastard. And Richtofen knew, apparently. Once again, supplemental material, but also it adds a lot of context to the egg, because this is the most story-heavy egg thus far. Richtofen's grand plan, with grabbing all these artifacts and his journal that has all the information necessary, is to swap his consciousness with Samantha, so that way he can have full control of the zombies for himself. It's goofy and silly, I know, but we digress. This Easter egg is really fun, having you play Simon Says on these machines, smack a ball around the map, please. The first ever soul step, having you kill zombies in front of the APD to just fill it up with souls, and building a little machine that has Richtofen talk with Dr. Maxis, which is really cool and fun. Oh, by the way, Maxis did indeed infuse his consciousness into Griffin Station. I'd say the only thing about this egg that really sucks is the RNG needed for the excavators, because you do indeed need the excavators to drill into the tunnels, so that way there's zero gravity and you can smack the ball through those tunnels. And to wait on those excavators is very annoying, and that's basically the worst thing about this. Oh, and then also the box RNG, because you need both the Gersh device and the QEDs to do this egg, that are both secondary grenades. So that's kind of hell. One of the best moments of the egg, though, is Samantha rising from the APD and then Richtofen succeeding in his plan. He switches consciousness with her and gains control of the zombies, and immediately wreaks havoc on the crew and Earth. He didn't have any good plan in this, he just wanted to achieve a higher power because crazy German scientist. And that's the first part of this Easter egg. The second part is much shorter, being like 1 or 2 steps more. This time you follow the orders of Dr. Maxis as he has you do a little bit more of Simon Says, mess with the APD, and then launch rockets and blow up the Earth just so Richtofen can have the satisfaction of ruining Earth. Why, you might ask? Well, because this is a story about 2 petty men that make their feud everyone's problem. But seriously, the visuals and music for this are so great, just watch.
Oh, low on ammo. Think, Nikolai, think. Okay, I got it. Help! I need more ammo!
Go,
I am in mission calculation. Launch protocol initiated. Launch in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Okay, someone give me their gun, and you can have my gun. It has full ammo, I swear. I need ammo, and fast!
Seconds to impact.
I could always use this as a hammer. Oh, low on ammo. Thanks, Nicholas. Okay, I got it. Help! I need more ammo! That's it? Seriously? All that work and all we did was blow up the Earth? What the fuck?
This is just a really cool cap off to the game. Blowing up the Earth, basically ending everything. Full on apocalypse. It's nothing moving, but it's just here for awe. Overall, Moon presents a decent amount to love with a great atmosphere, fun wonder weapons, stellar starting room, and a super unique way to play the game. Especially a great cap off to the game with a visually stunning end to the main quest. This map is deeply flawed, with a janky map flow and the excavators being a chore to deal with in both their existence and solution, and the gravity being consistently annoying. I'm not too huge on this map's gameplay elements and find a decent amount of them to be annoying. I really want to love this map, but I just can't bring myself to. It has far too many factors stacked against it, and its gameplay is just not my jam. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Moon. But even though this is the last new map in this game, this isn't the last Zombies experience that was brought to the game. See, this was a neat surprise that the Black Ops 1 team did. They managed to remaster all the World at War maps and bring them to the Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1 indeed was a lot of people's first Zombies game, myself included, so introducing new fans to the original map was such a smart move on their part. These maps have all updated textures, new mechanics, and feature the Ultimates crew on all of them. Nocturne Toten has the Thunder Gun in the box rotation now, which is pretty neat. Verrückt has the Winter's Howl. Less neat. This is a really nice addition to the game and really helps sell this on this one solid package for any first-time Zombies player. But these maps are all worse than their originals. Now you might be wondering, how's that possible? Well, here's the thing. The entire time we've been playing on Black Ops 1, I've been casually mentioning how the gun selection for this game blows. Well, I'm not joking. World at War has a really solid selection of guns that are all really effective and to use, and are pretty fun as well. Black Ops 1 does not. There are only a select few that are good and fun to use. The World at War remastered maps do not have the World at War guns. They have the Black Ops 1 guns. See what I'm saying? But Chop, that can't be enough of a reason to say that these maps are all worse here. Well, silly little viewer behind the digital screen, you might be right. But there are two cheeks to an ass, and brother, this second cheek is a real kicker. These maps are based on BO1's new zombie mechanics, meaning they are more aggressive and have a much different health and spawn scaling compared to World at War. These are much smaller, tighter maps created with different game mechanics in mind, so they are kind of hell to play on this game. Noct and Verrückt are just plain on fun on this game. Shi No Numa no longer has the 24 zombie per round limit, which means, oh, now it's harder, but also this map has got a lot of mud and water, which slows down the player a lot, and it just doesn't play the same way, and it's just not as fun. And Der Riese? Well, Der Riese isn't so different from World at War's counterpart. I'd say this one's better because no more losing jug when shocking yourself with the Wunderwaffe. Woo! I'd say whichever version of this map you prefer really comes down to the personal preference. Better weapons with glitchy older mechanics, or worse weapons with more refined mechanics. Take your pick. But yeah, I wanted to be brief with these maps. We've already discussed them in their gameplay and just how they're designed and blah blah blah, all the same jazz. But now, let's wrap it all up. So, Black Ops 1 overall was a really solid game. Most of the maps here rock, bringing a whole bunch of new concepts, mechanics, perks, and getting a decent hold on making main quests that progress the game's narrative and sometimes game-changing directions. Sure, some of these maps' innovations fumbled, whether it's unique attempts at a wonder weapon or special enemies, but they tried with something new and some unique stuff. They took risks, which is what innovating this game mode should be about, taking risks to expand and push the boundaries of a concept idea that started out as a bare bones and basic way. It started as a fun little game mode that devs created in their free time, so for them to constantly branch out and make something just greater, that's what this game mode should be all about. This game just takes the solid base that World at War had created over its life cycle and sought to expand on it and refine it. It took the proof of concept game mode and turned it into a rock solid game mode. And now, the next part of this game, well, we'll see how they push that barrier even further. So this next section is going to be more of an outro sequence for me to directly talk to a lot of my old followers. So if you're a new follower and you want to listen to that, go right ahead. But if you want to dip out of the video right now, that's perfectly understandable and fine. I just want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Now, time to talk to my older followers. Hi guys, it has been a very long time since I have last uploaded. Almost 2 years now, I believe. 1.5 years, I think. But wow, yeah, I'm not gonna drown on about that. A lot of you probably thought this channel was dead. I have been working on this video for like on and off for like 6 months, and I'm glad it's finished now. I almost said it's glad it's over. That would have sounded pretty negative about it, but I'm pretty proud of this. I like chugged through it like this past week, finishing up the editing. It was like nowhere near where like the final video was now. So really all it needed was just a kick of enthusiasm, which is hard for me. I want to actually genuinely make this series, and I'm going to keep trying, and hopefully as it continues, I get more and more into it and I can produce it quicker. I mean, this one was just longer because I compacted 2 games into one thing and had to do a lot of explaining and establishing, which isn't going to happen for the next video. But yeah, I'm excited to continue this. Sorry about that, I accidentally hit my mic. Aside from this little tangent about me talking about what's going to come with the next video, which hopefully I can get out relatively soon. I'm not going to promise any specific date. I'm just going to try and get it out faster than I got this one out. But yeah, I don't really have any ideas for videos at the moment. It's just kind of going to be this series. So unless I progress further into this series and I feel like I need to take a break, but I still want to make videos and I have another idea, then you'll probably see that in the next update. Because I'm probably just going to do little updates behind every single one of these videos because it's going to be so spaced out. Or I might upload something in between as a little surprise. But yeah, I've got no other plans for this YouTube channel at the moment. I'm just going to keep making these, and then even after that, who knows? And I really can't see the future, and I don't know what I'm going to be doing with this channel just yet. But I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you're going to be excited and enjoy the content that comes further from this. And I hope you stick around. If you are here and are an old viewer and stuck around, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you came back for my new stuff because I've changed what I wanted to do on this channel multiple times. Yeah, no, I don't really have anything else to say. I don't know if I'm going to get this out before the holidays end or not. It's Christmas today when I'm recording this, so it's definitely not coming out on Christmas, but happy holidays to all and a happy new year, and here's 2023. Let's have a good one. All right, thank y'all, have a great year, and hope you're there with me. I was not fucking expecting to hear that out of his mouth.